Breaking news for all blue badge holders, especially pensioners, because the rules around where you can park just got a lot tougher, and if you're not careful, you could face heavy fines or even lose your badge altogether. This isn't just about inconvenience, it's about protecting your independence and freedom to get out and about without fear. What once seemed like a simple, helpful parking permit is now a trap in disguise in a dozen key locations, many of which you might never suspect. Today, I'm going to take you through these 12 dangerous spots where parking with a blue badge could cost you more than you think, sometimes over £1,000 or even a towed car, and why it's critical to stay alert to these hidden risks. Imagine this: you're rushing into the pharmacy, your knees aching, grateful that your blue badge gives you that little extra freedom to park close by. You spot a spot that looks fine, no yellow lines, no obvious restrictions. You dash inside for just a few minutes. But when you come back, there's a fine tucked under your windshield wiper. Maybe it says something like £130 fine for parking in a restricted zone. You're stunned because you thought that spot was safe for blue badge holders. The rules have changed, but these changes are not being shouted from the rooftops. Instead, councils are quietly rolling out stricter enforcement, using new AI-powered cameras and surveillance systems, and these are catching people out, especially older drivers who rely on their badge every day. Let's be clear, blue badges were meant to offer dignity and freedom to those with limited mobility, but now the system feels like a minefield. There are places where you'd assume you're safe, like hospital drop-off zones, supermarkets, and even church parking areas, but these are precisely where the new enforcement is strongest. For example, many hospitals have outsourced their parking enforcement to private companies focused on profits, not compassion. These companies use cameras that clock every second you stay, and even a 2-minute overstay can trigger a penalty. Worse, just stopping in the wrong part of the hospital drop-off area even briefly can land you a fine. Another hotspot is loading bays. You might think, there's a big empty bay, I'll just pop in for a moment. But loading bays are often restricted to commercial vehicles during certain hours, and your blue badge doesn't exempt you. Pensioners who have parked there innocently have faced long appeals and stressful disputes because the signs were faded or unclear. Imagine trying to prove your case when arthritis makes paperwork and phone calls exhausting. School zones have also become ticking time bombs. Many councils have introduced school streets, completely blocking vehicle access during drop-off and pick-up times, usually between 8 and 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 to 4 p.m. These areas are monitored by automatic number plate recognition cameras that don't care about your blue badge. Whether you're picking up a grandchild or just passing through, you're at risk of fines if you enter during restricted hours. Then there are residents-only parking zones, common in busy urban areas. These zones often have tiny signs, and if you don't live in the postcode, you're technically trespassing even with a blue badge. One viewer told me she parked near her daughter's home, thinking her badge gave her permission. 3 days later, she received a fine in the mail. It wasn't just the money that upset her, but the feeling of being treated like a criminal for visiting family. City centre pedestrian zones also pose a big challenge. Some restrict access only during certain hours and have confusing signs placed far from turning points, so you may already be in violation before you realize. Many blue badge holders mistakenly believe these zones exempt them, but each city's rules differ. What's allowed in one city might cost you a hefty fine in another. Private car parks like those at supermarkets, cinemas, or shopping centers are another area where blue badge holders get caught out. Private firms often run these spaces and apply different rules. Your badge doesn't automatically grant you access, and if you don't register your badge with the parking company or parking correctly, you risk fines. In these places, a blue badge is more of a courtesy than a right. Be extra cautious near bus stops and taxi ranks. These areas are strictly off limits for parking, badge or no badge. Even a quick stop can result in penalties, points on your license, or worse. The same goes for faded lines and cycle lanes. Some cycle lanes have markings so old they're barely visible, but that won't stop a parking warden from issuing a fine with photographic proof. There was a case where a viewer parked outside a post office, thinking he was fine, but the area was actually part of a cycle lane, and the fine was unavoidable. Temporary restrictions are another common pitfall. You might park in your usual spot every week without issue, but a temporary traffic order for a construction project, filming, or event could suddenly make that spot illegal. These temporary signs are often small and placed far away, so you might miss them entirely until the fine arrives. The bigger picture here is the anxiety and loss of dignity this causes. After a lifetime of hard work and contributing to society, pensioners deserve to maintain their independence without constantly worrying about where they park. Instead, the system feels like it's setting traps, making a tool designed for freedom a liability. It's also important to remember that appealing these fines can be time-consuming and stressful. Many elderly drivers simply pay the fine to avoid the hassle, even if they believe they were in the right. This only encourages more aggressive enforcement. So being proactive, knowing the rules, checking signs carefully, and avoiding these risky spots altogether is your best way to stay safe. So, what can you do? Knowledge is your best defense. Stay informed, keep up to date with local changes, and never assume your blue badge grants automatic permission everywhere. Check signage carefully, and if you're unsure, it's safer to find an alternative spot. Always keep your blue badge visible and valid, and don't hesitate to ask for help if you're unsure about parking regulations in unfamiliar areas. If this video has opened your eyes to risks you hadn't considered, hit the like button, not for me, but so that YouTube knows this information matters and pushes it to other blue badge holders who need to hear it. And please, share your stories in the comments. Have you been unfairly fined? Spotted a new restricted zone? This channel isn't just me talking, it's about us building a community where we look out for each other. Every story helps someone else avoid a costly mistake. Remember, your blue badge should be a key to open doors, not a trap waiting to spring. Together, we can stay informed, stay mobile, and stay one step ahead of the system trying to trip us up. Don't forget to subscribe for more essential updates and tips to protect your freedom on the road. Stay safe out there.